Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the Food Systems Administrator of the Denver Department of Public Health and Environment, Lane Sidlowski.
Hello, everyone. I hope you're enjoying your lunch this afternoon. We're really pleased to spend a little bit of time today talking about how this food got to your plate today. The city has really strongly committed to supporting local agriculture, local food businesses, and our local communities that are providing and developing both this food that's on your table here today, as well as looking at our larger purchases around sustainable food production in the city. So we're going to have a panel today where you hear from some of the people who helped to get the food on your plate, whether it is our chef who put the menu and the meal together, this vegan meal that's available to you, as well as some of the growers and producers. So I'm going to welcome to the stage some of our compatriots here, and we'll first have Kaylee Boyle, who is the chef from Center Plate Catering. Come on up. Then we're going to have Kelly Shin from Groundwork Denver. We're going to have Ben Deda from Food Maven, and Nathan McKenzie from the Grow House. So if everyone wants to go ahead and take a seat, we're going to have a little conversation today about the food that's on your plate, how it got there, and what we can all do to support local food and local communities today. So just to begin, the city has a food vision that came out back in 2016 that really set a lot of priorities around ensuring that our food system is healthy, inclusive, vibrant, and resilient. And we find that this really syncs up well with the city's sustainability goals as well, because of course, supporting a better food system supports a better environment as a whole. It supports our climate goals. It supports our sustainability initiatives and resiliency and adaptation within the city as well. So the city itself has committed to purchasing 25% of the food that it purchases from local sources grown or produced within the state of Colorado. And we're making great strides. Woo, that's right. Towards those goals, we're right about at that commitment now, and so we want to push further. We want to work together with our local groups and communities, businesses, to really grow the local food economy, as well as supporting the environment. This is really important to us because there are more than 55,000 jobs within the city of Denver working in some part of the food system. So it not just supports our community, the environment, the climate itself, it also really supports our community members and the people working directly for and with our neighborhoods across the city. So just to sort of kick us off, I'm going to ask each of my panelists here today to introduce themselves and explain a little bit about your organizations, your work within the organization, and really how you relate to the meal today. And then we'll have people talk about what exactly on your plate following that came from each of these organizations or was brought here today by them. So we'll start with you, Kaylee.
Hello, my name is Kaylee Boyle, and I'm the executive chef here at the Colorado Convention Center with Center Plate and Sodexo. I've been with the company for 10 years in this building, working with Denver on the sustainability initiatives through our building in such a large facility. We have some amazing partnerships to help us. We are running about 30% in local vendors right now. Companies throughout Denver, in addition to waste management and donation processes.
Hello, my name is Kelly Shin, and I'm the Associate Director at Groundwork Denver. Groundwork Denver, thank you. Groundwork Denver partners with local communities to improve the physical environment, as well as improve health and well-being through the lens of environmental justice. Specifically to food, we have a couple food programs. So one is Fresh Food Connects, where we employ someone, one individual is here today, who you'll meet later, who drives a trike around different neighborhoods to different gardeners and picks up their excess produce and redistributes that to people who either don't have a place to grow or can't otherwise afford healthy, fresh food. And then our other program is an 1,800 square foot hydroponic greenhouse where we grow upwards of 10,000 pounds of food a year. So.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ben Data. I'm the CEO of Food Maven. Food Maven is helping transform the food system. Our food system is incredible at producing food, but it's not necessarily great at making sure that all food gets used. And so you end up with a lot of oversupply, out-of-spec product, or local product that can't break into distribution. And so what we do is help find that product, get it onto our online marketplace in front of our buyers and food service, to then help make a home for it, which gets rescued revenue for the suppliers, and it helps to bring great product out to our buyers. So we work with around 400 food service operators here in Colorado and 50 to 60 suppliers that range all the way from farmers and ranchers up to processors, distributors, and retail as well.
Hi, everybody. My name is Nathan McKenzie. I'm with the Grow House. We are a resident-driven community hub in Elyria, Swansea, focused on food production, education, distribution, and economic opportunity in that neighborhood, which has limited access to fresh, healthy food. We have 3 on-site farms, a hydroponic farm, an aquaponic farm, and a mushroom farm. We have an on-site retail market. We do distribution using rescued food that would otherwise be thrown away, and then a lot of education for kids and adults around healthy eating, nutrition, and wellness.
Great. So as you can see, we really have a wealth of knowledge, information, and experience in the local food system here within the city itself, and we really wanted to draw on that for our lunch today. So I'll ask Kaylee to sort of talk about what it is that you all are eating today, and then I'll ask each of the panelists to sort of talk about what their organization grows or how they've sort of contributed to the meal that you're eating right now.
Wonderful. So you do have a 100% vegan meal today. Your salad is Bibb lettuce and romaine mixed with some roasted butternut squash, toasted pumpkin seeds with a vegan apple cider vinaigrette. And your entree is wild mushrooms, which are amazing, quinoa, again, and risotto mixed with greens, which is the kale that we got donated today, with some balsamic and roasted baby carrots. And then the dessert you'll have later is a maple panna cotta, which is vegan, made with coconut milk, with a pear puree and fresh cranberries and toasted hazelnuts.
So what a beautiful meal, and thank you for feeding us today. So Groundwork Denver provided the Bibb lettuce and the kale for you today.
So from Food Maven, we have some of the mushrooms and some of the kale are sourced from a local meal prep company as Oversupply. And then also one that's really interesting is the quinoa. So the quinoa is what's called transitional quinoa. Our local supplier helps subsidize farmers to go organic, but that's a 3-year process. So during those 3 years, they're putting in this extra money to grow and follow organic practices, but they can't sell it as organic product, and so they end up losing revenue. What we're able to do is help them actually package that, promote it, and sell it as transitional products. So this is transitional quinoa from a local supplier that's really helping local farmers help to go in a much more organic and sustainable manner.
And the Grow House provided the oyster mushrooms in your meal today. We have a small shipping container. It's maybe half the size of the stage that we're sitting on. We produce over 125 pounds of mushrooms every week in that farm. So when I'm sitting in this giant room, I think about what we can grow locally and the possibility there.
Great. So one of the reasons we really wanted to talk about local food and provide local food to you here today is because the average sort of piece of food in any of your meals today travels 1,500 miles. And we're really trying to change the paradigm around that by supporting local businesses, local communities, local farmers and producers. So we wanted to sort of talk a little bit about why this matters. It's obviously a really big impact on the environment to have that much sort of trucking, but we also see that local foods have a disproportionately higher positive impact on the economy when we're growing and supporting our local communities, local businesses, local nonprofit organizations as well. So we really see a lot of benefits by supporting local food, and we want to encourage you to go out and do the same. So we'll ask each of our sort of panelists here today to just do a little bit to tell us about what you can do as an individual, a business, or an organization. What sort of questions should you ask to support local food? Who can you buy from? How can you support the organizations that are doing this work around local food? We'll start with you.
So in my situation, being such a large venue, I think it's a little different. Because of our partnerships with local vendors here in Denver, I think it brings a different experience to a guest at such a high volume. A lot of people don't necessarily have the opportunity to say that we fed 1,200 people today with locally grown product. So I think that's something that Centerplate does really well, and that we can provide here with all of our partnerships and that kind of stuff. And then our partnership with We Don't Waste, we try to give back to the community in that sense. So any sort of leftovers or anything like that, we donate back to the city.
Yeah, so I actually made a list of answers to this question, but I want to start by saying that I was really moved by the keynotes this morning, the speakers. And so I think my first answer to that question is just listening to prophetic voices and hearing those at a deeper level and reflecting on parts of the conversation that might make, I'll just speak for myself, might make me uncomfortable or make me feel, emotion, and think about why that is. So that would be my first answer. And I just want to thank the keynotes for their message and for the accountability that you continue to hold us to. I would also invite you all to join our CSA, our community-supported agriculture. It's where you pay up front, pay the farmer up front to grow your food for the season, and then you get a box of food for the season each week. So our seasons usually run 12 weeks. Also just donating to any of our organizations so that we can continue to do our work. The hardest funds to raise are any kind of overhead, or if you're donating to us, that helps us subsidize food to get back to people who wouldn't otherwise be able to afford it. I think the rest of this is not anything that any of you in the room don't know, but I'll still name it. Committing to knowing where your food comes from and who your grower is. And lastly, just centering the people who are most affected by the struggle. Thanks.
So the first one is definitely echoing Kelly said about knowing your food, right? Having that knowledge of how is it sourced, was it sourced locally, was it sourced responsibly, where is it coming from? Having that transparency and making sure that the businesses that you interact with know that you care about that, because that's ultimately what causes the change, is when they know that this is what their customers want and they're looking for, that they're going to make those changes in their buying behavior of who they work with. The other part of it is look for the opportunities to make this about community. We've realized more and more that's a big part of what we're trying to do, because you can't have a sustainable food economy without it being a local community. So take every opportunity that you can to connect with those who grow your food, to connect with those who cook and make your food, to connect with those who are eating the food, especially those who are potentially food insecure, and do everything you can, because that community is what ultimately makes us sustainable.
I would just echo what the panel has said. I think the first step is what are your own individual practices and how can you improve those? Eliminating waste, food waste at your own home is an important step. Purchasing food that is local, knowing your farmer, thanking restaurants and institutions like Centerplate that put an emphasis on supporting local farmers. But I think the other step we can take is moving beyond just what impacts us as individuals and looking across this city and understanding that our food system is not equitable today, and how can we take actions to make sure that our food system is equitable for everybody? At the Grow House, we believe that healthy food should be a right for everyone, and so I think us in this room, we can take actions and are taking actions to make sure that that's the case.
I think that's a great point for us to sort of wrap up on. Local food is a huge part of our food system here within the city of Denver and across the region as a whole. And we have to think about this is a systemic issue that we have to address. Everyone eats. Ideally 3 times a day, but we're also working on hunger within the city and really ensuring that our food system is one that is healthy, equitable, affordable, and accessible to all community members is deeply important to us as a city and something that we're working on collectively together with organizations like the people on the panel today, as well as many others within our food system locally. So I encourage you to take individual action, ask questions about where your food is coming from, how is it produced, how are the workers treated who are creating this food for you, what happens to it after the meal, and considering whether the food is being donated or compost, really look at it from a holistic perspective. And together, I think that we can really make this a more sustainable choice for all of us if we can just start asking those questions and then acting on what we hear based on the answers. So really be a thoughtful consumer of the food, whether it's on a personal, an individual, or sort of a systemic level. So I want to ask you to join me in thanking our panelists here today for providing this wonderful meal for us all.